All right, so we're back in the shop here. We've got our stogie, and what we're trying to contemplate is which part of the suffering are we going to try to deal with today, because there's much suffering to go around. When you're dealing with these antiquated rigs, there's always suffering to be had, and there's no point in keeping shy about the suffering, because it's allegedly worth it in the end. That's what they say. So I've got the transfer case mount, transmission mount, transfer case stabilizing bar and pin in place. I haven't effed with the engine mounts yet because I have to finish doing the stuff I need to do before I put the belly pan back in, and then I'll change the motor mounts then. Because I was going to change the yoke seal front and back on the output shafts on the transfer case. So I ordered 2 of them. They sent me 1. Then I went over to Napa, and they've got a couple different kinds over there that appear to be a better quality than the one that I ended up with. They're like $30 a piece for these transfer case output seals. But I'm thinking about waiting to see what those seals look like. If they look like they're better quality than the one that I got, then I might just go ahead and use them instead. I've got the axle shaft pulled out, and I forgot that we regressed in technology, because in World War II, the military Jeeps had what's called a full floating axles, full floating rear axles. And then for some reason, everybody decided to regress back in time and build them wrong for some reason. And so it makes changing the bearing or the seal or any of that it just sucks, because it's just wrong. And so instead of trying to get this bearing off the axle shaft without destroying it and all that, I just went ahead and ordered new bearings for this side. I'm not messing with the other side. It's not leaking yet, so we're just doing the one side. And clean up the brakes, put them back on. But the bearings and seal, everything's supposed to be here tomorrow. It's supposed to be here today, but you know, what's the point in shipping things, these companies, if they can't do it? So it'll be here tomorrow, allegedly, and then we'll do that. So I'll probably go ahead and get the shaft prepped, get everything pulled out of the end of the axle tube and everything, get it ready, so that all I have to do is press this new bearing on, grease it, press it on, put the retainer ring on it, put the seal in the tube, and just slam it back in there. So we might do that. But I've also I ordered a front bumper for the unit, because I found one on, if I can get this magnet mount is aggressively strong. If I can get this, the front bumper, I decided to order one of the tube style bumpers, which most of these Jeeps kind of had. Put it on there. It's like $200 off of Amazon. It's a Smitty build. So it should be here next week, so we'll put it on. I'm going to put that rear bumper, this one that's laying underneath the wheelies here. We're going to put it on the back, and it'll be all part of that rack system I was talking about in the last video. But what we can do right now is we can get underneath the Jeep and we can clean up the seal surface, because this is the seal that it came with, or the seal that I got. So it's a single walled seal, which the one that came off of it is a double walled seal. I like to never got it out. I actually gave up on it, and my brother came down here and got it out in like 5 seconds and tried to shame me. But see, it's a double walled seal, whereas this one's only got the one wall. So I would prefer the seal to be like this. But I don't know. This is the seal to replace it now. This is an Omix Auto, I think. It's the only one I could get. I don't like Omix Auto for a lot of stuff. Some other stuff doesn't really work that good, but this I'm tempted to just go ahead and put this in and just buy the one seal for the rear yoke. But at the same time, I don't really want to have it leaking again and then have to pull it out again. But it's really not that big a deal. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I need to go ahead and pull the rear one while I've got everything apart. Go ahead and pull it so that I can access it. I did end up, give you all a little update before we start effing with the Jeep. So I did end up getting the windshield from the buddy of mine. It's out here. And it's not as good as I hoped, so I decided not to use it. It's not bad. It's not beat all to hell or anything, but it's got more rust in it than I care for. Mainly around where the gasket goes. It's kind of soft and weak up in here. It's got one pretty good size hole in it there. You can stick your fingertip in. So I decided, you know what? We're trying to do the AMC right, so we're not going to put this one on there. I ordered a brand new windshield frame that should be here allegedly next week. You know, this is all alleged. And we'll put it on there, and we'll have the new glass, new gasket, new windshield frame. We're going to paint it black, like I said. We'll have it in there. And then that part will be done. And then this gasket, the seal that I'm talking about putting on, I haven't decided. I'd rather not spend $30 on a seal. But I'm willing to spend it if it's actually different from this one. If it's just the same as this one, but it's $30, I really don't have an interest in using it. So, I don't know. We can think about that while we struggle underneath the Jeep. And I bought something I've never had, and I accidentally bought it simultaneously as my brother bought one. So, I got us a seal puller, which I've never had a seal puller, and then my brother bought a seal puller. So it's perfect timing, right? Just have two seal pullers, and neither one of us have ever had one. We've always just struggled with picks and screwdrivers and crap. Maximize the damage that you do to the sealing surface is always good. So put you down. Aggressively strong magnet. Put our seat arm down. This is they say this makes pulling these seals a lot easier. Like I say, I've never had the privilege of using a real one. But he got his from Harbor Town, USA. And I got mine off of Amazon. Mine's allegedly made in America, allegedly. Comes with two ends. And you're supposed to be able to just pop this sucker in there and pop them out. So, hoping this will work a lot easier on the rear output shaft seal than what I was dealing with, because I like to never get that sucker out. So, I think we'll go ahead and pull that yoke and that crap right now. And go ahead and get everything cleaned up. Whether I use that seal or not, doesn't matter. Still got to be cleaned either way. So, let me get the light turned on. Let me get you unstuck from this fender, if I can. Get this light plugged in. It's plugged into this box. Just seems like a fire hazard, so we're going to unplug that. We're going to plug this in. Turn our light on under the Jeep over here. Oh, and we got to change the U-joints because they are smoked. I mean, they are bad. I knew they were bad, but I just put them back and didn't worry about it. But now I've got them off again. I'm not putting them back without changing them, which I've got, I think, 2 of them in stock. So I think I'll go ahead and change those, which is always fun. Love it. It's great. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite things. Of course, everything's my favorite thing, you know. So this is what I'm talking about when I say things that are made wrong. So your seal is up here in the end of the tube. You've got your race in there. Appears to be a bearing spacer in there of some kind as well. And your bearing is pressed all the way down your axle shaft, all the way behind the backing plate. You can't take this backing plate off without pulling that bearing and that collar, which is it's just not the best, okay? It's just not the best that there is. And then there's an outer seal on the outside of that. on the other side of that backing plate. And it's just needlessly complicated. It doesn't need to be like that. It's stupid. It's just not good. And so that's why a lot of guys will convert CJ2As and 3As to full floating axles the way that it should be. But it's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Try not to have an attitude about it. All right. It's all part of the suffering. But we'll get that done when the stuff comes. We'll go ahead and pull this apart here in a minute, probably. You got to cut that collar off of that axle shaft without just scoring your axle shaft all to hell, which should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then we're going to get the bearing off without destroying the shaft, and so it should be just I need to get some more paint so I can like restore this section of the leaf spring right here, because it hasn't been restored yet. Need to get some more paint for that. But yeah, let's slide up underneath this unit and see if we can get this rear yoke situation ciphered. I'll be right back. All right. Alright, so this is the rear output. And we're going to take this U-joint off so we can take this yoke out. Now, you're obviously not going to be able to see anything once my hands get up here in the way, probably, so just remember that I love you and I'm trying, okay? I gotta get me some Cornwell or something, 1/4-inch ratchets, because these crappy old Huskies they click out of direction sometimes, like it just is right there, where you can't get it to maintain its direction, which is very nice. It adds to the whole general experience. Bolt appears to be violently bent or something. Yeah, I would say it's bent. That's good. These little tiny weak bolts here that are just micro for some reason. Yeah, that bolt's like bent, so that's good. That's what you want to see. An aggressive amount of oil coated underneath everything under here. Hopefully you can tell that from the camera, but it's pretty aggressive. Here's this thing's been leaking for a minute over its lifetime. Appears to be some aggressive slop in my shaft here, which sounds excessively dirty, but I'm talking about the drive shaft here. But anyway, regardless, it's got a little bit of a compromise to it, I think. It's good enough. We ain't gonna worry about it, I can tell you that. Another 500,000 out of this unit. We're trying to get her dialed in, boys and girls. We're going to have it here soon. Before long, we're going to be just painting the town in our sick, extremely well-built, high-quality AMC. This is the goal. I'm becoming disturbed. Oh, it fell through. Alright. Let's see, where the hell did the cap go? So there's your cap, real nice and clean. I'm sorry the lighting's bad. I'm trying. sucker. Oh, there we go. So that U-joint's not as bad. I'll get another couple $100 million out of that one. The rear one feels. Rear one feels mildly compromised. I don't know. I may not change these rear ones because they actually might be all right. But there's the here's the yoke right there. You gotta take this nut out and then take this yoke off. Let me try to put the light where you might see something. Oh, that's better. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so we take this nut out right here, which hopefully is about the same. This one doesn't have as much up and down play in it as the front one does. The front yoke is shaft slapping around a little bit, which just means that everything is good. That's all that means. Everything's fine. Everything's happy. Let's see here. There's that. Come on, let go. Give me the nut. Thank you. This one's not leaking as bad, but since we're already under here suffering, we might as well go ahead and change it. Which this appears to be the one that leaks more than the front. On most forums I read, this is the one that does all the leaking, is the rear one. So that's good. And of course we had to drain all the new fluid I put in this thing out. Hopefully there's none to leak out here because we've already drained it. Go. Go. Come on. Let go. Okay. Everything's fine. We need to change this breather hose right here because that thing looks crappy as hell, but about that later. There's so much debris on the ground I can't roll around on my creeper. Come on. I don't want to come off. But that's good. That's what you want. Either. Oh, come on. Just let go. I'm trying to help you. Stop being controversial. Yeah, this is what you're supposed to do with your life, is this right here. You're supposed to lay on your Jeeps, become Helen Keller from the amount of dirt and grease in your eyes because you're too stupid to put on a face mask or something, and devote all your time to this, because this is going to give your heart fulfillment, people. This will do it. That gaping hole in your heart that you have, just stuff it with Willie's Jeeps and cigars, AMCs. Works every time. 85% of the time it works every time. Alright. How could it be on there that good but leak this much? that was the body. Take some off the resale. Oh, I swear I'm gonna start collecting glass figurines of clowns. I'm gonna wise up and stop this. I'm gonna collect Pokemon cards and fit in glass and longer burger baskets. I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. I'm done. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work on Jeeps anymore. Okay. God. Oh. None of this should be happening right now. This should just simply come off. God. Help me, Brian Poole. Help me. Come on, Brian Poole. Lay your hands upon it. Hope with me, Brian Poole. Come on. This is some bullshit right now. What's happening? I'm trying to love you, Dana 300. I'm trying. I want to love you. If I caress you, will you cooperate? Let me take your yoke out, Dana 300, please. I love you. Okay, alright. Talk to it now. It now has an understanding. So we're going to try it again. Just got to look forward to the Jeep letting me down up in the mountains. You got to think about the good times that you're going to have with it. And it's letting you down. You got to look forward to that kind of stuff. Gives you something to focus on, to strive for. Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off and see if we can't get this son of a biscuit off of here. Or break something, one or the other. I'll be back, hopefully, at some point. Alright, so we finally got it back out. And this collar on this thing is a little bit, let's see, it's a little bit compromised. Now, I hit it once, maybe twice, but it was already, oh, there's some Permatex. Oh, I hit it once or twice with a hammer, but it was already caved in right there too, so I just made it more gooder. So I just made it better. So we're gonna try to clean up the inside where the seal goes, and I read a lot of stuff on there. They say you should put some Permatex on the seal, so that's why the Permatex is out. Then we're going to clean this up, but we're going to put the seal in first. And since this seal is the same as the one that I showed you earlier, this is the one that came out. And by the way, the seal puller worked amazing. So this is the same as the one that I bought. So we're just going to put that same style back in. This one was driven in deeper. The other one, the front was flush with the case. This one was driven in deeper, and there's like a ridge in there, so I assume it's supposed to be like that. So we're gonna see about getting this cleaned up and put back in there. Got us some brake cleaner, got some rags. I'm trying to get this in there as best we can. And I bashed my head on the Jeep when I went to stand up, so it's all part of the fun, people. It's all part of the fun. If it was easy, then everybody would do this stupid crap, well, now wouldn't they? Oh. Oh. Let go. think my plea for Brian Poole to help me helped me. Thank you, Brian Poole. So we got it off. Surface doesn't look too bad. Hopefully the camera doesn't die right there. Put our microphone back. Here. Hopefully you can see something. I'm trying. It doesn't look too bad. Like I said, there's a ridge in there, which I assume is where the seal's supposed to sit, because that's how they had it. So we're gonna put it back the way that it was. We're gonna try to clean some of this debris out of here. There's a lot of play in the shaft. It comes in and out a little bit and up and down, but you know, we're not taking it to Haggerty or anything, so we're gonna pretend like we didn't see that, and try to get in here and wipe out as much of this grit as we can. Doesn't feel too bad. There's a couple kind of shitty spots, but it's nothing crazy. I've seen worse, let's put it that way. I'm disappointed. I didn't even get any brake cleaner in my eyes yet, which is strange. Used a brake cleaner to wash out the dirt and debris that you get in your eyes while you're working on these rigs. Take our Permatex, and you're actually supposed to knead this stuff a little bit like a cat, you know, knead it up, mix it real good, and then they say to put it on the outside edge of your seal. This edge here, put it on that, is what they claim. And you know, internet never ever lies, so I don't figure it could hurt anything. So let's go ahead and try to do that, but getting as much on my fingers as humanly possible. Permatex, Yama Bond, Yama Lube. I don't know that this does anything. I've never done this on a seal before, but there's a lot of guys that were quite insistent about this part on the forums. All them Jeep experts on there. They're hardcore. So maybe this is a little trick to get better opportunity at sealing. I don't know. I don't see how it can really hurt anything. Plus, it kind of lubes it to go into place, which sounds really dirty as well, but I'm talking about this seal, okay? Put that right there. tap it in. We're just gonna tap, tap, tap-a-roo. This is an axle nut socket for a Willys, but it should work for this. So that's loosely in. Take an extension. I've always found extensions work good for this kind of crap. Take your extension and just ever so gently move it around while you send it home. Like I say, it's kind of strange to me that it goes that deep in there, but that's the way it was. I know the one in the front's flush. I know that for certain, but this one was. I hear it hitting that lip. It's in its home now. Take a little bit of this, put it in there, just for fun. Not trying to get it on the rubber itself, or just trying to get it on the mating surface there. Are you having fun yet, fellow travelers of the Red Clay Traveler channel? Not Masons? Oh, getting too old for this stuff. I'm used up. Alright, let's get this other yoke seal cleaned. We're gonna get this other one cleaned up some and inspected. See if it'll pass snuff for Red Clay Traveler. I can get up, and we might need a cigar here in a second. Very impressed with that seal puller, because there's been many times where that would have been handy, and you know, I didn't want to spend the $12 on it. So now we got one now, Pawpaw. Alright, so we got our battery changed. Let's do a little cigar break here for a moment, and we will talk about some history. So the other day I was doing some light duty research. You know, I've got a thing for conquistadors. I've always fancied conquistadors, the expeditions, the stuff that they did. Not everything that they did was fancy, right? And one such example of that is Francisco Pizarro. He is the conquistador that conquered the Incan Empire. And, you know, Hernan Cortez gets a lot of shit for the Aztecs, right? We've talked about the Aztecs and all that before. Cortez was actually like a pretty likable guy when you compare him to Francisco Pizarro. All right, so Francisco Pizarro gets to Peru, which was kind of the main place for the Incans. It was a large empire, and it really was. But their central kind of headquarters for the royal, for what they called the Sapa Inca, which was their ruler, was in around Cusco. All right. Anyway, so the conquistadors get there. They've got less than 200 men. Pizarro does. They estimate that the population of the Incan Empire was between 5 and 8 million. And he shows up with like 100 and I can't remember. It's like 168 men, right? Some of those are priests. And they're deep into Incan territory, but the Inca haven't done anything. They're not fighting them. They're not doing anything to them. They're just kind of watching. So the ruler at the time was named Atahualpa, and Atahualpa was no fool, right? He had spies watching Pizarro and his men the whole way. Anyway, they get to where they meet Atahualpa, and Atahualpa sends them into, it wasn't Cusco, it was the neighboring city beside Cusco. I can't think of the name right now, and if I could, I probably couldn't pronounce it. But anyway, the conquistadors go into the town square there. It's still there. You can go see it today. And they wait on Atahualpa, and Atahualpa makes them wait a long time before he shows up. And then when he gets there, Pizarro had some Inca allies that were translators, so they're translating from Spanish into Atahualpa's native language, and they're having a conversation basically, and Atahualpa's telling Pizarro about his faith and about what they believe in regards to the sun god and all this. And Pizarro had a priest with him who starts talking about Christ and basically the Bible, right? And Atahualpa says something to the effect of, what gives you the authority to speak to us about this? And the priest says, well, the Bible does, and he holds up the Bible to Atahualpa. And Atahualpa says, give it to me. Let me see if it speaks to me. And so they give him the Bible, and the accounts from the Spaniards said that he flipped through the pages really gently, looked them over, and then he says, it doesn't speak to me. Right, because, the Bible's called the living Word of God, right? And so people, if you're coming from that kind of a background to Atahualpa, that means it literally should speak, right? As Christians would say, as a Christian, you would say that the Word speaks to you. God speaks to you through the Word. But to Atahualpa, he's expecting it literally to speak to him, as far as like, tell him something, right? And so he takes the Bible and he throws it on the ground, which was the perfect excuse for what happens next, because you got to remember, right, people want to claim that all the horrible things, they forget all the good things the conquistadors did, but they always remember the bad things. Every group has their bad moments, right? And they want to blame everything that the conquistadors did on Christianity. Well, the thing is that Pizarro, even under the most scrutinized, loosest basis, nothing Pizarro was about or did was in the name of Christ or for Christianity. Whether you're a Christian or not is irrelevant. There's no way anybody could objectively look at Francisco Pizarro and think, this man's doing all this in the name of Christ. All right, so he used this. This was the excuse he needed to be able to basically declare a formal war on the Inca. And so there's a battle there in the town square, and they capture Atahualpa, and they put him in this local jail cell there. And Atahualpa says, if you let me go, I will give you this room that he was in, filled with gold. Well, Francisco Pizarro, that's the whole point of this expedition, is to find gold and slaves and jewels and resources for Spain, right? So he says, let me out and I will give you a room full of gold this size of this room. The Spanish estimate that the gold that the Inca brought them was about 7 tons worth of gold, which is a significant amount of gold. That's a lot of damn money right now. That's a lot of money back then, right? And, I'm sorry, my cigar is going out. Anyway, so they give him the gold. They give Pizarro and his brothers and the rest of his men the gold. Now, they expect the Spaniards to honor their word, right? They don't know who the Spaniards are, but they expect basically that their word would be honored. Give you the gold, you let me go. Pizarro, this is what I mean. Pizarro is a bad dude. And so Pizarro basically sets up a mock trial with him and his, I think, 3 or 4 brothers are on the trial, and on the, like, basically as the jury. They convict Atahualpa, the ruler of the Inca, of, basically blasphemy, war against Spain, all this kind of crap, and they cut his head off. And one of the conquistadors there's a lot of good resources from this era, not only from the natives, but from the conquistadors themselves, that they wrote things down. One of the conquistadors that was present for this said that of all the things that occurred in the Americas during this era, the fall of the Incan Empire, the fall of the Aztec Empire, that the worst thing that they'd ever done, that Spain had ever been involved with, was the murder of Atahualpa, because he didn't need it. He didn't deserve it. He hadn't fought the Spaniards, hadn't done anything really to speak of. The Spanish show up as complete invaders, murder the Inca ruler, steal their gold, and it goes even further than that. I mean, they do horrible things, and this is why I say, when people talk shit about Cortez, there's plenty of things you could say, but Cortez is nothing as bad as Pizarro. Pizarro's brother, he had a brother that was basically a psychopath, and they replaced Atahualpa with, Atahualpa's I believe it was like his half-brother or brother, and Pizarro's brother saw this man's wife, liked her a lot, and he basically abducted her, raped her, and then ultimately murdered her later as a way of revenge against Atahualpa's brother, who was leading the Inca in rebellion against Pizarro and his conquistadors. Now, it does end in a little bit of a happy note, is that the Inca do escape for quite a while. They're basically refugees. They go out to the very far edge of their empire. They kind of set up a new city. They live there for a long time, 7-8 years. And then Atahualpa's brother is also murdered. But what's funny about this is Francisco Pizarro is murdered by one of his friends. So it kind of goes in circles, right? So Pizarro got what was coming to him. But it's just amazing how brutal things were, right? The Spanish are a long way away from their homeland. The Inca are in their homeland. And unfortunately, for the conquistadors that were there, and especially unfortunately for the Inca, Pizarro was a bit of a psycho. Now, there's plenty of conquistadors like Hernando de Soto, Ponce de Leon. There's plenty of these other conquistadors that really are just like explorers, right? They're not, you don't really read much about negative encounters with natives. They're pretty much, exploring in the name of Spain. Like, they're not psychopaths. I'm sure they're not, flawless princesses either, but I'm just saying, like, they're not psychos like Francisco Pizarro. But I find that era of history fascinating with the conquistadors. I studied it a lot when I was in college, and despite the evils that were done on all sides, but in this case, especially the Spaniard sides, it's a fascinating era of history, and the things that these people were doing, right? I mean, the Inca don't know who these people are. The Spanish have guns and steel, and the Inca are using stone tools and wooden spears and stuff, and they're fighting and eventually mount a very successful rebellion against the Spaniards, kill an assload of Spaniards. So, I mean, yeah, ultimately the conquistadors went out in Peru and defeat the Inca, but they didn't get it easy. It wasn't like Cortez. Cortez didn't have to fight nowhere near as hard to conquer the Aztecs as the conquistadors did in Peru. The Inca were a lot more peaceful civilization than the Aztecs were. They weren't near as heavy on human sacrifice. They weren't a war society like the Aztecs were. But when push comes to shove and they're defending their homeland and everything, they became very, very effective guerrilla fighters against the Spaniards. A lot more effective than the Spanish expected. But I really enjoy the exploration. That's why I like the Vikings so much. The stuff these people are doing where you just set out, you have no idea where you're going, and you just conquer for Norway or Spain or Britain or France or Portugal or whatever. It's fascinating. Just imagine how much easier it would have been for the Inca to fight the Spaniards if they'd had them a CJ5. Just imagine how much easier it would have been for the Spaniards to conquer the Inca if they'd have had a CJ5 or possibly a Willys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Company truck. It would have just been more convenient for everybody. But, oh, and another little side note, Atahualpa had decided before the Spanish attacked them, he had decided that the plan is that they were going to kill all the Spaniards except for 3 of them. The 3 that they wanted to keep alive were the blacksmith, the barber, and the doctor. And because the Spaniards traveled with, they had priests and barbers, and, basically it's a self-contained unit of, everybody's got a specialty. Not everybody's just a soldier. And the Inca saw the Spaniards go into this tent and come back out, and they looked refreshed, and their face was clean, and hair was cut, and they thought the barber was kind of a mystic kind of thing. And so they wanted the barber, the blacksmith, and the doctor. And that was their plan, was to kill the rest of them. So it would have worked out better for the Inca if they would have followed through with that plan and just killed the hell out of all of them beforehand. But, it is what it is. Alright, that's enough. Let's get slide back underneath the Jeep. We got this yoke cleaned off, got the washer cleaned. Slide back up underneath there and see if we can't tap it back into place gently. Should be in gear. Yep, it's in gear. All right. Put our socket on. Get our high quality torque wrench here. It's from Harbor Freight, so it's good. see if we can. Ooh. There we go. That should be 130. All right. Ooh, damn it. All right. Oh. Buy a Jeep, it's fine. Do it. Do it. Go buy one right now. Yeah, this U-joint is compromised. The seals are blown out on it, rusted up to no end. There's the seal. This one, yeah, you want to know how you know that your U-joint's no good? Do you want to know how you know? Let me show you. Let me show you how that you determine that, okay? When you lay underneath your rig of choice, and you grab the U-joint like this right here, right? See that? And you can take the U-joint. See that? See this slop in it? Back and forth this direction. That's not good. So you don't want that. Do not want that at all. Do not want it. That's how you know it's bad. That's really bad. That's destroyed. So we're gonna change that because I think I do have them. We're not changing it right now. I'm not about all the fun I can stand right now. But yeah, that one, yeah, that one's destroyed too. See that? See how much that's moving? That's not supposed to move at all. See, that's bad. That's not quite cool. So we got a little bit accomplished today. Not a whole lot, but we got some. Got that seal changed, got this drive shaft taken out, got parts ordered for the Jeep. I've got the windshield coming, like I said earlier. It should be here sometime, hopefully. And then I ordered the bumper, all that crap. So we're going to be keeping on. I even found a set of tires for this rig that's pretty cost efficient. So at some point we'll be getting those. And we'll just keep on keeping on. But it's not far. It's not far off. Change that other seal. It's got new mounts. Change the motor mounts. Get the U-joints done. Get this bumper on, the rear bumper on. Put the windshield in it. Put the glass in it. That axle seal. And then we'll be sailing smooth waters, my friends. But until next time, until the next video, remember to spray your hands with harsh chemicals every chance you get. It lengthens your life. And remember, even though the Willies and Jeeps give you sadness, just remember there's a whole lot of other things to be sad about. And being sad over a Jeep is always better than being sad over something else. You know what I'm saying? The Jeep never means to hurt you. But until next time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma. And keep on keeping on. And this is Ray Clue Traveler signing out. Get it.